When I first visited Shanghai in 1977, I stayed at the Peace Hotel. It was then one of the city's tallest buildings with its signature green and red roof, and was one of the very few places in Shanghai which was permitted to accommodate foreigners. In those days, the Bund was full of administrative offices. The former HSBC building was the seat of the municipal government. In the 1990s, that started to change. The municipal government moved out first, others followed, often with a good deal of reluctance, until by the turn of the century, the Bund was once again what it had been 50 years earlier, the city's financial centre. That same decade, the first skyscrapers started rising in Pudong, in an area where I used to see just fields and run-down warehouses along the river. Lu Jiazui was created as a new financial centre. Today, it's changing yet again. 120 square kilometres have been set aside for a pilot free trade zone extending eastward from Shanghai to the coast. And it's fair to ask, where will all these changes lead? What will the future bring this city? And what will China be like after another 50 years have passed? In the opening decades of the 21st century, Shanghai has become an economic and financial hub for both Northeast and Southeast Asia. The China Sea has started playing the kind of role in regional trade that the Mediterranean played in Europe at the time of the Roman Empire. If one looks at the major cities of the region, which spread out in a great arc from Seoul to Jakarta, Shanghai lies towards the center. For Shanghai, the Belt and Road Initiative represents an historic opportunity. It's at the eastern end of China's new maritime Silk Road, linking Asia with Europe and Africa, and of the economic belt being built through Central Asia across Russia and Eastern Europe. To play its role fully, Shanghai needs financial and trade rules which accord with its strategic location. 100 years ago, such rules were dictated by the West. But in today's multipolar world, China has its say too. A key aim for the Chinese government is to make Shanghai a major financial center, not just for China, but internationally. To that end, between the Huangpu River and the coast of the East China Sea, a special area has been set aside as an experimental free trade zone. Mindful of historical sensitivities about extraterritoriality, when the foreigners in the 19th century concessions could do as they wished, ignoring Chinese laws, it specified that the zone is within the territory of China, but outside national customs control. There are bonded areas where goods can be brought in and out without customs formalities, warehouses for imports which go direct to the Chinese market, a high-tech and an export processing park, and an international financial center with offices of the world's major banks, stock exchanges, clearing houses, interbank centers, and futures exchanges. When complete, it will provide an integrated system of financial institutions capable of serving the whole of East Asia. The zone has two distinct functions. For imports into China, it reduces transit times. For instance, the wine in this warehouse will get through customs clearance and inspections in less than half the time it used to take. And secondly, it facilitates international financial operations and cross-border transactions, which makes life easier for foreign firms based here and for the Chinese companies that work with them. Registration procedures for companies operating in the free trade zone are greatly simplified. There's much less paperwork than in the rest of China. In fact, the policy can be summed up as everything that's not forbidden is allowed. For multinational corporations and small companies alike, one of the main advantages of the zone is that they can open what's called an FT, a free trade account. And that's what these people behind me are queuing up to do. It's called here a 6-star policy, meaning that it's one better than 5 stars. And for groups like Alstom, the French company which has been operating here for 2 years, it has brought important benefits. Alstom is one of the world's leading manufacturers of rail and tramway systems. It's operated in China since the 1950s, but in view of the rapid growth of the transportation sector, it's recently stepped up its activities in the Chinese market.
40% of our business in China involves international transactions and foreign currency exchange. So it is critical for us to find out an efficient and effective cross-border treasury method.
How did you do that?
By entering into free trade zone, we're going to have a free trade account.
How does that work?
Funds move freely between us and our affiliated companies in overseas. Setting up a free trade account allows us to meet financial needs more easily. Alstom now can set up a RMB two-way cross-border cash pool, which is efficient and flexible in terms of fund circulation. The free trade account gives Alstom the flexibility to decide the final settlement of the foreign currency with our own planning and judgment of the market.
This system encourages foreign companies to invest in China because it reduces their operating costs. And in the longer term, it will promote the internationalization of the renminbi as a fully convertible currency. If you look back over the past century, you find the evolution of China's currency has always mirrored. First, the legal tender of the 1930s, then gold yuan notes and renminbi.
The expansion of the SDR basket is a historical milestone for the SDR, for the fund, but more importantly for China and for the international monetary system.
The last big change took place on October 1st, 2016, when the renminbi was formally incorporated into the International Monetary Fund's basket of currencies for special drawing rights. By then, it was the world's third-ranking currency for international settlements after the dollar and the euro, and its use in special drawing rights was a further significant step towards its internationalization, enhancing the competitiveness of China's economy. But it's not all about global trade and giant multinational corporations. Here in Tianzifang, you get a glimpse of another side of Shanghai. The countless startups and small companies, micro-businesses in many cases, which reflect the entrepreneurial spirit and sometimes off-the-wall creativity of young designers and businessmen. Life isn't always easy for these small enterprises. They've had problems with high cost and the difficulty of obtaining bank loans to expand their businesses because the credit system doesn't work as it should. The government responded with tax cuts, reduced administrative fees, and an easing of credit. To apply the new policy, it appointed the now renamed Shanghai Banking Association. The Banking Association is the successor to the old Shanghai Bankers Association, which was established almost 100 years ago, and it plays a similar role, acting as a bridge between the banks and government regulators. Only nowadays, it's digitalized. Small businesses or individual entrepreneurs can type in the amount of the loan they're seeking, in this case 1 million renminbi, and search for banks which may be able to help them. Another link gives each bank's details and a link through which they can submit a loan application. What is this for?
Yeah, this online system, yes, we provide 370 credit products.
Do you share information with other organizations?
Yes, we share the information with the city's tax bureau.
And what does that help you do?
It will minimize the credit risks.
In a fair and just society, the right to credit is important. That's the idea behind what the United Nations calls an inclusive financial system, meaning that the poor, as well as the rich, should be entitled to loans and credit. The Banking Association's online platform is one way Shanghai is trying to tackle that. Mao Zedong once wrote of the years passing in the blink of an eye. After 1949, and especially since the late 1970s under the policy of reform and opening up, China has developed from a poor and backward country into an economic powerhouse far too important for the rest of us to ignore. The results have been spectacular and have been felt in every corner of the world. The constant theme of this series of programs has been the idea that finance is a key factor shaping a nation's future. Today, China understands better the importance of the financial sector for the economy and for society at large, and the need to put it on a sound basis. For the West, this is a crucial issue. In the decades ahead, China's influence on global finance will be immense. Indeed, I would say, judging from experience, it will be comparable to that which the reform program has had on the global economy.